So because of the Dagger Duchess, which absolutely changed the whole meta, the Elixir Collector is actually broken again, that we are seeing decks like Pumpo be in the meta again. So I decided to play that today because Pumpo in general is just a very fun deck to use. But yeah, guys, it's pretty ridiculous. I don't know if I've ever seen such a big meta shift in the history of this game. And if it has happened, it has been such a long time. Because since the Dagger Duchess got introduced, the meta has really just flipped upside down, it seems like. I mean, decks that before were really broken are now pretty bad, like a lot of the cycle decks, and now a lot of beatdown decks are coming back. Elixir Collector is just absolutely pretty busted. I mean, a quarter of the top 200 is using it. I mean, when you have like 25% of the top 200 using an expensive card, that really just speaks for itself. And I just haven't seen something like it in a long time, but I'm here for it because the game is kind of interesting when the meta is so different than what you're used to, because I feel like for a long time it's been a similar meta after similar meta, but now we're seeing some new decks again, like Pumpo actually have a lot of success. So we get our second pump down, and a big reason why is almost no one's running Earthquake at this point in time. Almost everyone is running things like Fireball, Poison, arrows, and then some people just have arrows, log, they don't even have a big spell in their deck, and that's why you see the meta like this, where Pump is being played constantly, because there's just not an adequate spell for it. Now this guy's got 3 Musketeers. We're gonna have to be a little cautious because I did use my Poison on top of his Pump, but I think this defense should be relatively easy, and what I'm actually gonna do is take some damage on the right lane from that Musketeer, go in for an Expo here, because look at this massive Elixir advantage we have. I would be shocked if he finds a way to defend this. And here we go, Little Prince coming in, and this is already looking like it's going to be towered down. And do you see why? It's because when you get 2 pumps down and then go in for an Expo, you just overwhelm them to the point they just literally can't stop it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he already gave up. I don't blame him. Pumpo really tends to annoy people, especially if you take their tower. And yeah, that's the case. He left. Start things off with a nice little 3 crown here. Alright, in our next one here, so I'm just going to wait a couple seconds, see if he wants to do anything. I think I'll just cycle a Tesla. That seems to be a pretty safe play at this point in time, just so I can get to my pump quicker and just cycle something. Maybe get to that Evolved Tesla quicker too is quite nice. So he's actually going to go in for an Expo. I might have to let that lock on my tower just due to the situation. I mean, I would have, of course, rather not have had that been the case, but I feel like I didn't really have a choice. We did end up having the Expo retarget. I believe it was on my tower, and then somehow it redirected onto the, I believe it was the Guardian. I don't know, was it because I got an Ice Spirit down on it? I actually don't know what happened, but either way, we saved ourselves a little bit there. That could have been way worse than what ended up happening. We took a little bit of damage, but it wasn't a crazy amount. I'm just going to pump here, and then I'm thinking about potentially going in for a Tesla, just because he's probably really going to want to go in for an Expo. Okay, he decided to Fireball that, so even though he didn't go in for one, the fact that he Fireballed is nice, because now I likely can defend this Expo without an issue. Like, we're going to go Little Prince here, and there we go. That is definitely going to be enough. I'm not even going to have to commit anything else, because as you can see, he's just going to allow the Little Prince to deal with the Expo, so that's very nice, of course. And now we have our Evolved Tesla ready to go, which likely means we're going to be able to deal with his Expo pretty easily. I'm curious to see who ends up winning this, because I actually don't know who has the advantage between Pumpo and regular Expo, because of course it's a different deck. Even though it's both Expo, very different play style, I feel like, because Pumpo is a little bit more passive because we have the pump, so we're trying to get a Elixir advantage, of course, before I end up going in for my Expos. Whereas on the flip side, because he's got a faster rotation, he, of course, is going to be wanting to go in for Expos and try to get damage early on, which is what you see here. But unfortunately for him, the Evolved Tesla really coming in clutch, and now I'm going to go in for an Expo. I'm going to get down Skeletons here, and let's see what he chooses to do. So he's going to go in for a Knight. I think now is a pretty good time to actually go in for an Elixir Collector, just because he still has to commit on this. Yeah, as you can see, he had to go in for a Tesla there, so he had to spend a decent amount to take care of that Expo. I'm going to go in for a Knight, and then we're going to get an Expo going here, trying to take advantage of our Elixir advantage if we can. That would be pretty nice. We'll see if he is able to defend. He is going to go in for a Knight. Let's go for a Little Prince here, and he's actually going to get a Tesla down. So that was pretty nicely defended on his end. I think I'm just going to go in for a Collector and try to continue to gain as much Elixir as I possibly can to hopefully overwhelm him at some point. We're going to get an Expo going here, and he is going to go in Oh, wow, for defensive expo, I was not expecting that. I don't think that was like a misclick or anything, but I just wasn't expecting him to do that. So we're going to get a nice little poison on top of that and the tower. And as you can see, he definitely is struggling a bit here. I'm not... Okay, so he does go for his Evolved Tesla, so that's going to be that. There's definitely no way I'm going to get a lock when that's played. He's going to support it, though, with an Expo. I was not expecting that. Let's get Skellies down here, going for a Knight in the other lane, and let's see what he wants to do here. Maybe we're going to get a defensive Expo down. It seems to be a good idea, especially because he had that Evolved Tesla, and this might actually be my last pump of the game, just because I don't want to really... I don't know. I just don't want to play another, especially as we're getting closer to triple, because I feel like your pumps at that point are just a little bit unnecessary. So let's see if we can end up breaking through here. This might be pretty challenging for us, so we'll see what happens. The Evolved Knight is going to tank for that little Prince. We're going to get 2 Expos down, 1 in one lane, 1 in the other, and this is typically how you overwhelm. He's going to go for a Fireball. Expo's locked on the other lane. Can we protect this Expo? I feel like this is what needs to be done. If we can keep these Evolved Archers off of our Expo, this might be what allows us to get the win. Look at the left lane, Evolved Knight on the tower, Expo on the right tower, and this is exactly what happens. You play in the long term, like, you know, you win in triple, whereas the other Expo deck gets way more damage in single because it's more aggressive. But yeah, that was a really satisfying win against a different Expo variation. You know, like I already said, this deck, you know, you got to be a little bit more patient because sometimes you're not going to get that breakthrough point until triple because you just need that Elixir stacking from the pumps. So this guy's got a Knight. That doesn't really tell me a whole lot about what he's running. But because he is in a clan called Hog X, it was kind of making me think maybe he's using Hog Executioner, but nope, that is not the case. He has the P.E.K.K.A, so it's going to be something completely different, obviously. Let's get... Oh, whoa! Well, he does have a Hog. He does have a Hog. So that... So maybe he's got... is that going to hit the... Yeah, it does hit the Collector. That's a bit disappointing, but I guess it's not the end of the world. I mean, we still got value from it, I feel like. Maybe not as much because of it hitting it, and he's already calling good game. I don't know if it's for sure good game, but he's not feeling very confident. So what it likely means is he doesn't have a good answer to the pump, potentially. That's kind of my guess, and that's why pump is so good in this meta. So many people are just not running a counter to it, so it's just getting a ton of value. I'm going to go Skellies, and then that should be, yeah, good enough. Maybe I go in for an Expo here, just because that pump is getting a lot of value, and he's going to go Xe, so we'll see what he does to support it. He's actually going to allow the Expo to lock on the tower. That's huge for us, so let's try to get some protection going on this Expo. I'm just going to go in for a Tesla. We're going to go like this, and then go Skellies, and perfect. The Xe was not lined up on them, and look at how much damage we just got from the Expo over there, because he doesn't have a good answer to it. It seems like he's got a lot of tanks, though. I'll give him that. We're going to need to play the Knight behind the Executioner so he can't try to get a NATO lining it up. Yeah, as you can see, he tried to do that, and that's exactly why I played the Knight in that position. Had I played the Knight any further in front, he would have been able to NATO and get that lined up, which would have been really bad. So let's just go ahead and get a Collector down. We can take things kind of nice and easy. There's no need to rush things because we already have a lead here going into double Elixir, so I'm not really, you know, needing to be aggressive at this point. I can kind of just play defensive and play it safe. There's no point in overcommitting and taking a risk. So that Executioner was probably not that great. I am going to poison this, though, just because there's a bunch of things stacked together, and I feel like your poison really just gets a lot more value as the game progresses, because obviously there's more things that, you know, are going to be stacked. And yeah, he's not too happy right now. I don't blame him. This is exactly why in this meta you really need to have a spell for the Elixir Collector. So don't be like this guy. If you're, you know, in mid-ladder right now and you're finding yourself struggling against Pump, or you've just been playing it a lot more, definitely make sure to have an Earthquake, a Fireball, Poison, some type of big spell in your deck, or, you know, you're definitely going to have to do that if you don't have a win condition that's able to break through. This is actually why in this current meta, things like Hog Rider are really, really struggling. I think a big part of it is just because of that. Oh, wow! He has a poison! He has a poison! That's surprising to me. I wouldn't have expected him to have that because he didn't use it the whole match. That's, wow. I'm kind of in shock, I must say. I'm very surprised. I wasn't anticipating that. We got to watch out here for this Hog Rider. He's trying to do everything he can. I really respect the effort. He's literally doing everything in his power to get the Hog to the tower, but it's just not really up. And there we go. We get that lock on the tower. Well, that's going to be GG. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Pump deck, definitely a really fun deck to use, and it's actually low-key kind of broken this meta too. Make sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video.